Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, empowerment coach, and angel therapy practitioner. It's almost 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. I start a little bit early. Pardon my hair. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit so you can see my tree. I already decorated a little bit. I'm going to give this a minute since I'm a little early for some folks to show up. So what I'll do is I'll talk about a little bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology for the purposes of dealing with so many different people versus a personal one-on-one. I think the whole sign system works the best. If I was doing a personal chart for you, I would want to look at it in Placidus because I believe that the degrees, the house structure is all very indicative and important to what your soul's contract is for this life. So many of the planets move slowly, Saturn, Jupiter, the nodes in some respects. So when we look at those degrees, we get a little bit more detail about what your intentions are for this lifetime. So good morning, Lauren K. Great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving week for all of you that are in the United States. Thank you, Catherine. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Flamingo 2 and Margie. It's good to see everybody. I'm using my Christmas decorations as a way of distracting myself as I feel like some of my personal transits are being triggered again. I have the South Node sitting on my Mercury, natal Mercury. I have Saturn starting to become conjunct to my natal Chiron. And we know that Pluto has been squaring my ascendant, my Sun, and my Mars for years now. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about today is 11/20/22. And I think that's super important because the 11 is the master number of thought. The 22 to me is a number that represents cooperation, harmony, compromise, a coming together of some kind, a peaceful energy, or at least the attempt to make it for a peaceful energy. So I believe that this day and moving forward as we finish out the year 2022 is really sort of digging deeper personally and saying, am I creating peace for myself? Am I standing with my thoughts in alignment for what is truly going to make me happy? Or maybe what I believe will make me feel secure, because they may be two different things. I did a separate video on Mercury and Venus in Sagittarius. I think this is going to be a really wonderful energy. So check out that video. I did a new moon video, which is on the 23rd. So those are transits that are happening right now. So what I thought I would do today is just sort of launch into the readings and just talk a little bit about the idea of being mindful of your thoughts creating things. And I want to offer it this way because it's not about judging your thoughts. It's about observing sort of a patterned thought and then an intentional thought about what do I really want to experience. So I'm going to start to review and look at the evolved version of myself versus pigeonholing me into an energy that maybe others have described me by or referred to me in a past incarnation of this lifetime. Okay. Good morning, Natalia. Did I miss anybody else? Catherine, it's good to see you. Oh, I said hi. I think I said hi to Catherine. I said hi to Margie. Thank you. I've been having a little fun, as I said, with the tree. And yeah, it's a big art project for me. I just kind of poke around at the tree, back and forth, moving things around. All right, so let's just jump into our readings. I'm going to start with I'm going to start with Scorpio today. We're in the last couple of days of the Scorpio energy. So happy birthday to Scorpio. And then we'll be moving into the Sagittarius energy. If you haven't been here before, I like to start with the birthday month and work my way around the zodiac. I just think it's kind of the most fair thing to do than always starting at one end and going to the other. Good morning, Jay Sean. Welcome to the room here today. CJD, so great to have you here. Scarred Owl, love to all of you out there. All right, so we're going to start with Scorpio and then work our way to Libra. We're going to start with our tarot card for the week. Well, this is lovely. Scorpio. This represents Taurus, which is very interesting. Your opposite sign, your in some ways complementary sign. This is the King of Pentacles. This represents the earth signs. It represents a very elevated energy of the earth signs. It's very rooted. There is bounty without worry here. There is a sense of, if you look at this character carefully, he's very calm in how he's holding his money. You can see the Taurus energy on the top of the throne and then on the sides of it. So to me, there's an energy of that steadiness of Taurus, of bringing into the physical world some material comforts. And I want to offer it this way because one of the challenges of Scorpio, and we know the South Node has been going through Scorpio for quite some time, and it's hovering on the 13th degree. It feels like forever. And that's my Mercury. I'm like, over it. Move along, little doggy. But anyway, my point is this, because Taurus represents our skills. It represents our voice. It represents how we can create bounty for ourselves. And Scorpio is sort of the idea of how we commingle our resources, how we use other people to amass more money. It represents mortgages and investment accounts and investment bankers and big finance. So I think for Scorpio, this is an opportunity to start to see yourself feel this sense of bringing bounty into your own personal experience due to your creation, your ideas, your tenacity, your inspiration, because it could be the inspiration to buy a lottery ticket. I mean, I don't want to make this too crazy, like you suddenly have to go invest in structures. I feel like this could be very much about starting to think, as the South Node has been transiting Scorpio, at the very minimum, it's your sun sign. It's not my sun sign, but it's my Neptune and it's my Mercury. So I've been saying to Spirit, what is this about? Because the last time this happened, my life got very rocky and there was a lot of loss attached to it, literally monetary material loss. So underneath it, I have this sort of trying not to brace for the same experience. And I keep having to remind myself, as Spirit is doing for me, Teri, you're 19 years older than you were the last time this happened. And you've gone through a lot of self-reflection. And so this is a time to trust that you have done the work and now bring that into your physical experience by aligning your thoughts to that. Good morning, Gita. Good morning, Jules. So this is our tarot card for Scorpio. And I want to offer this too, because you cannot be a Scorpio, but you could have a stellium of planets in Scorpio. And that would be a very strong focus and a way of looking at the deep psychology of how you view your power and your control and your co-creation over your own life. So let's do our angel reading and see kind of where this is going. Because I think when we lean too far into any one side of the axis is, so, Scorpio and Taurus is an axis, Gemini and Sagittarius is an axis, et cetera, et cetera. So as we have been experiencing this Scorpio Taurus axis, we're looking at our money, we're looking at our value, we're looking at our power and our control over our own lives. In the middle of 2023, I believe it's around May. I didn't pull that up. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but the nodes are going to move into Aries and Libra axis. So this is, again, we're going to see like a doubling down on this theme between self and partnership with others. So this is an opportunity to be egoless, which is not edging God out as you see a bigger wisdom to your own personal power and your ability to assert that for yourself, and then bring that into the next phase where you get to sort of elevate the vibration of that. I hope that made sense. So Scorpio, let's see where Spirit is saying to be the master of your own voice, your own possessions, your own self-worth, all the things that represent Taurus. Could even be food. Okay, here we go. Our first angel is Francesca. The second is Oceana. The third is Akasha. And the final is Caressa. Okay. I hope you're feeling better too, small wildflowers. Sending lots of good healing energy to you. Hi, post it up. Okay, Francesca is being joined by the Focus card. Oceana is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Akasha is being joined by the Joy card. And Caressa is being joined by the Baird. So we are on Scorpio. We are talking about Scorpio, and yet we have pulled the King of Pentacles, which represents the Taurus energy. And so there is a grounding for Scorpio coming into the material world as you start to give life to the idea that before you begin to manifest anything, where is my focus? This is something that the South Node has been repeatedly asking me, because I have watched, Mercury rules so many things. It rules our thinking and our speaking and our teaching. It also rules our communities, our network, our immediate network within our jobs. It's not necessarily the World Wide Web. So what I have seen is other people's frustrations, other people's stories colliding in my life, okay, where I feel a little like people are blaming me, for certain things that I have no control over within their lives. This is my point. I have to ask myself if I'm going to grab onto that idea, if I'm going to take the responsibility for it. Now, let's talk about Scorpio. Scorpio can be dominant over another or giving up our power to another. So somewhere this is about reclaiming yourself. This is about reclaiming your perspective. This is about looking at your, okay, how can I describe this? I feel as if in order to truly bring to you this feeling of power and control over your own life, to feel like you understand yourself without judgment so you can bring more bounty into your life, the first thing we're going to do is look at your focus. And if for some reason you're going to the darker side of what the potentials are for you and for your life. Francesca talks about visualization and what we visualize. It's not easy right now with Saturn making aspects, with Pluto making aspects. There's this fear bubble underneath every single thing we endeavor. And yet at the same time, we just keep pushing our focus back because Scorpio is going through a rebirth without a doubt. And part of it is trusting a deeper knowing of your own psychology without judgment. And I want to offer it this way because the initial discovery of whatever your story is underneath may make you feel like, oh, no, I thought I had flattened that button. I thought that I'm over that. And rather than judging that and thinking, oh, I need to release that or get rid of it or exterminate it, it's about letting it fading to black. It's almost about saying, it's there. And now what will my focus be? Where will I turn my focus into? That I've got a lot of things working for me because Akasha is the spiritual teacher and there is the joy card. And this is about moving towards the smallest of things if you must, because there is an end of a chapter and part of it is the end of your history. And I want to offer it this way because your history will never go away. Your story, your imprint, your childhood, everything you've ever experienced is lodged somewhere within your cellular being and your psyche in this lifetime. But what you can do is dig for divine wisdom that allows you to understand what the disruptions were and how they actually work to empower you. And by doing that, you have an opportunity to start to rewrite the story of your history. Okay. That's for Scorpio. We're going to move on to our Sagittarius, but don't take note just yet, small wildflowers. Everybody's feeling a little health conscious or a little bit of health issues coming up. I want to offer it this way, because with Neptune squaring Mars, and we know Neptune is in Pisces and Mars is in Gemini. I want to offer this, guys. It's really important to take some time to de-stress. That Mars in Gemini is no joke. People are, very frustrated, and that frustration is coming out aggressively. So as you allow yourself that downtime, I've been very mindful of, like, I've been juicing at home. I'm not good and regular at it, but I definitely have been paying more attention to putting nutrients in my body, to putting more live foods in my body. So I'll be saying prayers for you, small. I hope that you're coming back around. If there's something going on in your mouth for some reason, if it's abscess or tooth related, I want to offer you guys this. The medical medium, you can look at his books. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just saying this worked for me. So don't take this as you must do it. But I found that when I implemented some of his protocols for my health, I take daily spirulina and barley grass and all those kind of things. I started to see things course correct and my body start to release some toxins that might have been buried in there. So this is a time to allow for that, because the Mars going through Gemini is super stressful, and that could trigger the square to Neptune, asking you to dig deeper into taking care of yourself. So don't push yourself. Anybody, kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius. I'm really for sure now. And here we go. So there we go. This is the 10 of Wands. This really represents working hard and burdensome. It's not an easy task, and this person, the character within it, feels burdened. And at the same time, we can see this yellow hair, which really kind of makes me think he's not feeling empowered by this whole thing. There's a very obligatory feeling here. And at the same time, we have Mercury and Venus going all through. They're like hanging out within a degree of each other for weeks inside of Sagittarius. So I want to offer this because that's joyful and fun. And Sagittarius, if you do have, and we'll look what the angels want to say, if you have work on the docket, if you have chores or projects that need to get done, I feel like it's kind of important, while you have Mercury and Venus traversing through your house, to really allow yourself to maybe do things different than you have before. So if you've been operating on I got to get this done, maybe it's like, I'll get it done, but it's a beautiful day and I'm going to go take a walk before I do that, or I'm going to go enjoy something. Because I really think that we have been pummeled with obligatory, and kind of fear-based energies about money and about our health and about our security. And I think that this is an opportunity to potentially get perspective and enjoy it. And I want to say this too, because I feel as if with Mercury and Venus going through Sagittarius, it might be fun to explore like foreign foods or a foreign film, or, within your own community, doing something you've never done before, and sort of just taking your mind off of things. All right, let's see. Sagittarius, our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Oceana. The third is Mercury. The third is Xana. And the final is Azure. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the butterfly. Oceana is being joined by the horse. Xana is being joined by the dragon. And Azure is being joined by the mystery card. Well, this is interesting because the 10 of Wands by nature is just, honestly, it's the end of the minor arcana for the Wands. It feels like this guy has, developed a certain amount of, like, when I see the the fauna on the end of the wands. And yet at the same time, this guy is still in process, and he may be weary from the process. He may be feeling as if, I'm working so hard, because the wands represent the fire signs. Okay. And I feel as if you have not seen results for some reason, if there feels like there is a stall of some kind, if you feel like you're working hard and yet nothing is happening, maybe there's a little bit of a focus on nothing happening, and there's gets to be a release of that, sort of a surrender to it. The holidays, as we get closer and closer to Christmas, they tend to slow the year down anyway. And I feel as if, because Archangel Gabriel is talking about communication, and there's the butterfly. And now we know that Mercury is going through your house, and so is Venus. And on some level, you could be re-examining your value. You could be looking at your belief system. You could be looking and saying, am I too caught up in my everyday life and not allowing myself to really stretch beyond this little moment where my monkey mind has run amok? Because Oceana talks about our intuitive emotional body, and then we have the horse, which is, to me, a very intuitive energy by nature. And then it's about delegating. And I feel like that delegation is to look at spirit and say, you know what, everything may appear to be one way right now, but that doesn't mean it can't change in a minute. And my job right now as the human who's the co-creator of her own life is to keep my eye on the prize, because Sagittarius, you're being protected. And right now, your job is to sort of be cool, calm, and collected during a transitionary period. If you're feeling, I get messed up by my eyes sometimes. I'm like, I can't see how this is going to get better. I can't see where the next dollar is coming from. I can't see, how my old age is going to show up. And I can get caught up in this story. And I feel like Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Now you have to choose to think about that and focus on that. And I want to offer it this way, because I kind of, in my meditations, it's kind of funny. I'll feel like I'm in a flow, and then something will just, a thought will just come out of nowhere that will send me right out of my flow. And I feel as if this is really about paying attention, Sagittarius, to the feelings of burden, or the feelings of obligation, or the feelings of working hard for something and not getting any fruit from it yet. And if you feel that way, then back off of it for a minute, so that the universe can bring in a new inspiration, or bring in an opportunity to see the path. It's kind of like being a writer. So writers, when they write, they know what they're writing, so they can't always see their typos. It's like their brain scrambles in a way that reads it as it's meant to be written versus as it is written. So if you take a walk and you come back, you can better see your typos, and sometimes you can also be inspired. So there's something going on about taking the burden off, relaxing a little bit, surrendering to the transformation, allowing for an inspired thought, an inspired action, someone to call you out of nowhere. You don't know how the universe is going to work. I recently, I sent one of my rent checks out. I've been doing this for 20 years. And somehow my rent check went to another business. The woman lost the key to her mailbox, and the check sat in there for a month. And then she reached out to me and said, you sent me this check. And it turns out she's interested in astrology. It turns out she's the owner of a spa that does Reiki at the spa. And I just started to laugh. And am I going to go in and introduce myself to her? Absolutely, after the holiday. But I just thought, okay, universe, thank you again for the validation that there are things going on that I can't always see. And my job on some level, when I can't see the answer, my job is to do the best to feel the answer. Okay. Intrusive thoughts are so annoying, but it's the imprint of the brain. The human brain is imprinted. I honestly, God bless all the healers that do all those releasing ceremonies. I don't believe in them. And maybe that's why they don't work for me, because once something happens to me, it's there. I really can't pretend it just evaporates. And maybe that's my Taurus moon. I don't know. But I do know that when something happens to me, I can turn it into a tool, and I can make it work for me. And as I make it work for me, then there is a wisdom that takes the sting off of a disruptive situation. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. If you have a Capricorn stellium, it's been a ride for you having Pluto going through your. Yes, absolutely, Flamingo too. Abraham Hicks. I listen to Abraham like ridiculous, all day long, every day. I'm a huge. In fact, I believe Abraham works with me. Oftentimes, when I'm listening to Esther, I find them using the same verbiage I do. And she's changing her words because I've been using recalibrate for a while, and she's been saying that lately. It's funny. All right. Or I'll ask Abraham, are you working with me, Abraham? And then I will go listen to an Abraham video, and she'll talk about how Abraham works with other people around the globe. So it's fun. Yes, exactly, Flamingo too. I don't think that spirit would really just, I think the human would put that all on Esther as the only person who could facilitate the message. All right, let's go on to Capricorn. Capricorn, what a beautiful card. The infusion of thought and victory over it. Okay, so here we go. We are looking at one of the things I think is so I'm a big Capricorn fan, and every time I see baby goats, I wonder why we lamb-based Capricorn with all these very challenging energies. They're there. I'm not going to say they're not. There are rules. There are rules of engagement. There's, government and authority and repression and depression. And do I feel Saturn on my Chiron right now? Yes, I do. And is it fun? No, it's not. But I do know that it's starting to teach me more and more about victory over my thoughts and victory over the pattern thoughts that were imprinted upon me in my history, through Father Time, through my soul's experiences. And now when I see myself, I literally go, am I going to go down an old road? Am I going to go down this path of, oh, woe is me? Or am I going to be like, you know what? I could not choose me. I could not choose to love me, to individualize me if I didn't see this disruption. So there's a lot of stuff. And I was thinking about this when I was getting ready, because Mars is making a trine to Saturn right now as it goes. Mars is retrograde in Gemini, and Saturn rules Capricorn, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And oftentimes astrologers will always say that Saturn dumbs Mars down, but I think Saturn's like Mr. Miyagi, okay, in the Karate Kid. Mars is sitting there going, wax on, wax off. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And the next thing you know, Saturn's walking up and going, show me, wax wax the car. And the next thing you know, Daniel's like, psh, 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 and Mars is getting his instincts honed from a place of power versus a reactionary sort of more unconscious way. So I bring this up because Capricorn, this is about really harnessing your thoughts in a way that works for you. And if you have, you're a boss, you're a leader, you're a builder. And while you walk through all of this, I think it's starting to take charge of you and how you want to build your life and representing. So that's what I think. All right, let's do let's see what area this is going on, because there's Pluto, right? Traversing through Capricorn at the last degrees. And, really, I feel so much this is about one of those divine choices that we make that really changes our soul imprint. It shifts it. It empowers us. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Indriel, Capricorn. The second is Azure. The third is Akasha. And the final is Grace and Antoinette. Hey, Lucy Rose, welcome to the room. All right, Indriel is being joined by the Letting Go card. Azure is being joined by the Love card. Akasha is being joined by the Communications card. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the High Priestess. As I look at this, I feel as if I've been talking a lot about the aspect of a square recently, and how it feels like I'm standing at the fork in a road between an old version of myself and a new untried version of myself, where I'm practicing more conscious reactions and behaviors and thoughts. So here with Indriel being in the foundational position, and then we have the letting go card, which is a 44, I feel as if Capricorn is starting to really harness, what am I going to do with my fear? How am I going to process fear? Am I going to let it paralyze me? Am I going to punch my way through it? Am I going to stick to the old rules? Am I going to get sort of staunchy about it? Because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And then there's the love card. And I don't think this is about love of another person. I think it has to do with what we were saying earlier with Flamingo mentioned Abraham. And Abraham will talk about when you know what you don't want, it gives you clarity about what you do want. And I feel as if, there are times when Saturn says, I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you're happy. I don't care if you feel loved. Just get the job done. And what if that's what's changing? What if this sort of idea that, what, maybe I should love what I'm doing. Maybe I should love my path. So working hard on it, being fearful on it, putting my nose to the grindstone on it will actually have a purpose now, instead of just this random working my butt off for somebody else, or some sort of concept that never gets any rooting. Because here's a caution of the teacher, and there's communication. And I think this is all about the ace. This is about starting to really think that when I put the things that make me happy as a priority, and I want to offer, this is not about being irresponsible. It's not about being frivolous. It's about a balance between what is important for your material security and what is important for your emotional security. Because Grace and Antoinette is talking about having compassion for a new version of yourself. And I believe this is where Capricorn is becoming more connected to, I kind of want to say, cosmic consciousness. Okay, so let's look at this. Saturn rules the 10th house of the public eye. The next house is the 11th house, which literally rules the universe. It rules the stars. It rules the Milky Way and all the planets. It rules scientific exploration. And what if this is part of what's going on? Is Saturn is actually taking its sojourn through Aquarius right now. And now your ruling planet is giving you an opportunity to expand and broaden your thought, to bring it into a new technological advanced age of what if all of the old structures of yesteryear, because most of mankind was built on survival. And those that were thriving used those that needed survival to build their empires. So all of this is being rewritten. All of this is about bringing a playing field onto the stage that allows us to be aware of our co-creation through our thoughts and our things, and therefore being responsible. And rather than villainizing or victimizing ourselves during challenges, we look to see what is the buried thought, what is the historic pattern here. And is this historic pattern relevant today with the evolved version of myself? And this gives us an opportunity to be victorious over our thoughts and to understand that fear is the most empowering energy that mankind has. When we triumph over something, when we are brave enough to look at, and I'm not talking about somebody standing there with a gun in your face or a cliff that you're about to fall off of, because that's normal, natural fear. I'm talking about the fear of co-creation, the fear of thriving in life, because what will other people think, and how will they respond to me, and will they still love me if I'm my authentic self? That's a hard one, especially for Capricorn. Okay, let's go on to our Aquariuses, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Hey, just call me C. Did I say hi to you? I hope I did. Okay. What's our tarot card for our Aquarius? The Fool. You know, a lot of people think this is Uranus. I don't at all. I think it's actually Mars. It's the pioneer. It's, Mars wants to move so fast sometimes that it, oh, good. It's a little bit of the Fool because it'll go into uncharted territory without really looking too quickly. That sense of adventure, that sense of newness, that sense of independence will have the Fool just charge right in. And I believe that that's part of the beauty of the human experience, because if we think about it, sometimes we look back and we say, oh my God, if I would have known what I would experience, I wouldn't have taken the gauntlet up. So I think this is really where the Fool is embarking on an experience that, I guess I want to put it this way, Aquarius. I feel as if this is right up your alley, actually, if you think about it, to go where no man has gone before and to keep your eye on the prize, up at the stars. And I kind of want to offer this because I don't know if you're going to fall off a cliff. We're going to have to look and see what the other cards have to say. But I want to put it this way. There's some stuff coming up for Aquarius. As Pluto ends its sojourn through Capricorn, and I believe it starts next year, it's going to dip its toe into Aquarius, truly offering you transformation. And maybe now is a time where Spirit is saying, this is an opportunity for you to follow your bliss, to really start to look at the journey of the humans and the soul in the human experience, and start to tee up where you'd like to be when Pluto moves into your sun sign. And it could be a ton of other things depending upon your natal chart. I don't want to be afraid of Pluto, but Pluto to me is always saying dig deep into that heart. Because if you're digging deep into your heart, then you're allowing yourself to experience the human journey through almost like this rawness that affords it to be richer on some level. Thoughts are things. Holy crap, they sure are. And I think that's what's going to be when Uranus moves into Gemini. I think that is going to be anchored in by now. By the time we get through, somebody had said that Uranus was moving into Gemini in 2025. I don't think it is. I think it's dipping its toe in 2025. Then it's going to go back into Taurus. And then in 2026, it's really going to anchor into Gemini. And I think that's when the human experience is really going to take a more conscious look at our thoughts, our things. And I think what we will see between now and then is so many new influencers, so many new platforms where we're making our own money, that this becomes more obvious to the human as we experience that. So, Aquarius, here we go. Our first angel is Isabella. It's time to be the Fool. The second is Layla. The third is Isaiah. And the final is Maya. Joining Isabella is the Goblin. Joining Layla is the Stag. Joining Isaiah is the Truth. And joining Maya is the Disruption card. Okay. Well, this is very interesting because the Goblin to me represents the human ego, and the ego is where we're edging God out. We're edging source energy out. We are somewhere sitting on an old story, and I think now that the Fool is representing moving into a new energy of co-creation. And I want to offer it this way because the Fool, there are schools of thought with the Fool, because when the dog is nipping or at the bottom of the feet of the Fool, some people perceive that as troublesome, that it's nipping at him in a negative way. And at the same time, I don't see it that way. I feel like all dogs represent, a joyous energy. And I feel like when I'm looking at Aquarius right now, I feel as if there is some sort of awakening Let's look at what Saturn's offering as it goes through your house. It's slowing your roll down. It could very well be putting this blanket of depression or this blanket of repression or this sort of dull feeling like, what's the point? And I think now this is an opportunity. Yes, the timing is right to delve deep into what it is that's actually going to make you happy. When I was younger, I used to always say, oh my God, I just want to help everybody be happy. I want to help everybody be happy. And I want to do that through spiritual work. And what I didn't realize when I said that is that underneath, I was going to have this weird expectation of wanting to see if they were actually happy. And maybe that's not my job. Maybe my job is just to provide the information. And if you're happy, that's up to you. And I think that's where the fool becomes the co-creator as he walks through the various elements, characteristics, and traits of the human experiencing, offering him opportunities for evolution. Because I think that right now, Aquarius may be a little bit stubborn or feeling a sense of, I almost feel as if you're feeling disconnected from yourself or disconnected from the truth of who you are. And that might be why you're feeling like the fool, because you feel like you're going on a journey, but you never actually get anywhere. I don't know quite how to say that, because we talk about Isaiah talks about a new beginning, and then we have the truth card. And I think that's an examination of what the deeper truth is. The deeper truth of what will really make you happy. I can't help but think of some people, I have certain people that leave impressions on me. And one of them is where there's a situation where somebody wants something so badly that rather than looking at the idiosyncrasies of the situation, the traits of the individual situation, and seeing if they align to making this person happy, they're looking almost too broad. I want it to look like this. I want it to smell like that. I want it to taste like this. I wanted it to be this. And in that narrowness, they're actually tripping themselves up. They're getting in their own way because they're not looking deep enough to see if the real qualities of everyday life, what happens, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, will the elements and the traits support a happy longevity? Because here, Aquarius is the schooling represented by Maya, and then we have disruption. And I think what's happening is you're a little bit of, because, Aquarius rules genius. Aquarius rules really smart people. They may seem a little quirky sometimes to the average Joe, just walking around trying to, live life, but they're innovative and they're progressive and they're expressive. And, we could say sometimes even a little unexpected, say unexpected things, do unexpected things. And I think there's the potential that this is getting in your way right now. And maybe inadvertently you're narrowing your choices, and it's time to open them up and be more like the fool. Go on a journey, and rather than looking where your feet are walking on the earth, trust on some level that God and the angels, if you get clear about your intentions, will start to bring in experiences that will support a new experience that will start to root in the more conceptual things that are banging around in the background. I hope that made sense. Thank you. I was feeling very turquoisey and orange today. Okay, let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This week, Jupiter will be going direct. It's stationed right now at 28 degrees, which to me is very, very powerful, because as Jupiter is in those last degrees of Pisces, I feel like this is a real opportunity to see to look deeper for the meaning of what the 12th house represents, because the 12th house represents karma is a funny word, because karma is really not something that happens to you. It's really more about sort of choices that are presented that allow you a karmic decision. So you can either fall into an old pattern of human behavior, or you can sort of trust a deeper knowing and break a pattern. So this is where I feel like the 12th house is so compassionate and so loving and so warm and fuzzy. And at the same time, it can be very torturous for the self. Torturous because I don't want to make the same choices. I don't want to make the same mistakes. I don't want to wear those rose-colored glasses and find myself disappointed with somebody else who says, I love you, but I got to go. So I feel like this is a real moment to take Jupiter, and while Neptune is squaring Mars, I think this could be where that square is representing bravery, and Neptune isn't known for its bravery. Okay. And this is where we kind of combine this tense energy to get courageous about what we really need and what we don't need in our lives. And I found myself in an experience recently where, I've been purporting a friendship with somebody that the more I got to know them, the more I thought they weren't a very likable person. The more I thought they were kind of a mean person and very willing to name call and even to the people they love, and then they want love back. And then they did something that I found shocking, and through that shock, it made me dig deeper into really looking at the traits of the relationship. And a part of me wants to be very disappointed and angry. And the other part of me says, well, maybe I got to get out of jail free card. And what house represents jail, prison? Pisces. And sometimes you're a prisoner by your own compassion. So let's see where this is coming in. Pisces. There's the Three of Swords. That's not an easy card. Never is that an easy card. But at the same time, it has a visceral reaction when you see it. You immediately thought, my heart, I've been stabbed in the heart. But this particular heart is not torn up. It's actually very whole. And the piercings appear to offer illumination. And I want to see where we're going with this, because I was talking about being disappointed by someone, having them treat me poorly. I feel like I've had a series of these pot shots at me, and while I'm the co-creator of my life, I keep asking, why am I co-creating this right now? And maybe I'm removing some illusions, some moments where I've been maybe self-deprecating because I've allowed myself to continue on in situations that weren't really aligned to my truth and to who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world. Let's see where Pisces, because that square between Mars and I feel like I kind of just interrupted myself because I just saw the Mercury Neptune opposition when Mercury was going through its retrograde back in September. And so this information may come, and now we look at it and we see Mars being like, it's time to take action, and it's not easy to do. So let's see, Pisces. Our first angel is Maya. The second is Aurora. The third is Chantal. And the final is Serena. Thank you, Lucy Rose. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, Maya's being joined by the Truth. Aurora's being joined by the Wind Fairy. Chantal is being joined by the Dog. And Serena's being joined by the Grail Knight. Okay, Pisces, I'm going to say it. This clearly looks like it's about love. It's about loving relationships. I don't know if I just want to assign it to intimate loving relationships. It could be friendships, but there's definitely some sort of feeling of the Three of Swords is known as a card of betrayal. Betrayal is not always somebody cheating on you. Sometimes betrayal is when someone finds value in you and then they throw that value away. Because here's Maya offering you schooling and education, and there's the Truth card. And the truth is never something that's given to us. The truth comes from the inside of our heart. And Aurora is saying, you're flying high right now. Don't descend, because you will soon inspire others. And there is the Wind Fairy. And I feel like when I look at the Wind Fairy, it's more about thoughts and analysis. So is that Three of Swords. How am I going to process this? Because as I apparently look like my heart has been stabbed, there is no blood, there is no rip. Those are clean piercings, and that illumination is actually offering light into the situation, because Chantal and the Dog are all about true love. It's all about authentic love, loving you for yourself, not having a hidden agenda. Oftentimes I have found that people have a hidden agenda. I do work that they find interesting, so they want to be my friend. Let me be your friend, Teri. Let me be your friend. And then when they hear stuff they don't like, they don't want to be my friend anymore. When the magic of their own power comes across and them not using their power, they disappear, because Serena is about abundance and it's all about being serene. And then there is the Grail Knight, which is about illusion in this particular case. So I want to offer it this way, because Pisces, I feel like there is an opportunity for you to surrender to whatever this potential illusion, having it be broken up, whatever Neptune's square to Mars, and then Mars is trine to Saturn. Feels a little bit like there's an old structure that's getting a renovation. And, part of this Three of Swords makes it feel as if there's a weird feeling of this, already knowing this on an intuitive level and not wanting to see it and hoping it would change, and it doesn't change. Hoping that what you're intuiting isn't really true. If I don't look at it, if I don't pay attention to it, it's not real. And then it becomes very real. And the realness is that now I have to look at something that I cared about and then say it's not working. Fun? Not always. But is it in the long run offering you wisdom and an authentic experience when you're able to truly be yourself? Yes. So that's where I'm going. All right. Let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Chiron is transiting Aries right now. Jupiter will enter Aries shortly. It's just gearing up to go direct on the 23rd. And then it'll move forward. Stephen, I agree, but I think that part of that, the waiting part is getting comfortable with that limbo. The human will see limbo, but the soul will see spirit moving things around and take a nap or relax or something. So this is what I think is part of the transition that we're going through. And so while some things feel very, very honestly hurtful and rude, I don't think we can get through without that, because the human isn't naturally motivated without some sort of pain. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's true. All right. For our Aries, 7 of Wands. Holy coly. Here's defensiveness. And is there anything to be defensive for? This guy's face is really not at ease at all. He is standing, waiting for something to happen. And the other wands do not appear to actually be threatening at all. They're mostly straight. They don't really look like they're being held strong in any way. And so here we go. And this is, I'm an Aries rising. Okay. So I just described a story, and that could put me in a defensive posture. I don't want to defend myself, and I will not defend myself, because I've been as authentic as I can be, and I will not take responsibility for anybody else's life anymore. So maybe that's part of what this is. If you think about Aries in its highest form or whatever, it's I hate the words high and low. They seem so human. But my point is that there is a small wildflowers. There's a perpetrator in the room. There is an opportunity to individualize yourself in a way that you don't have to defend yourself. And I think that might be what's going on with Chiron transiting Aries right now. It's going to be a wound that has to have relations or have its roots in expression of self. And oftentimes Aries is just the warrior banshee. Aries is not considered the warm military hero that it deserves to be, the Purple Heart. So let's look and see Aries. Our first angel is Caressa. The second is Teresa. The third is Omega. And the final is Maya. Well, we're all learning something from Maya today. Those weren't buggers. Those were huggers. Okay, here we go. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Caressa is being joined by the communications card. Teresa is being joined by Merlin. Omega is being joined by the perception card. And Maya is being joined by the restriction card. All right, so Aries, here we have it. We have Mars, your ruling planet, going through Gemini retrograde, being held back from moving as quickly as he would like to. And we don't really talk to any extent about Mars being the co-ruler of Scorpio. But here I really think that there is an opportunity for Aries to look at a deeper psychology of the motivation of their actions. And if indeed, for some reason, people in general have painted you in a light that isn't quite as favorable as you'd like it to be, because oftentimes Mars is just the malefic, the aggressor. And here we don't see any aggression. What we see is defensiveness. And maybe it's not necessary anymore, because here is Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle, new happiness awaits you. And there's the communications card. And I could literally take that and make that Mars and Gemini right now. Retrograde in the sign of teammates, workmates, siblings, my everyday activities, how I roll in my, when I'm running to the market, when I'm running to pick up the kids, and when I'm going to football practice, and even football practice. So here, there's an opportunity for Aries to be like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to defend myself. Maybe I don't need to try to explain myself to others, because Teresa's here and it's all about worrying about other people. And then there's Merlin. Merlin is about justice, alchemy, and balance. And while I think, Aries is known as an individual sign, it's known to be the lone soldier, the me in some respects. I don't know how we really can pigeonhole Aries like that. How are you the hero? How do you run into that adrenaline pumping, firing that building that's on fire, jump out of that plane, be that person who's willing to go into uncharted territory on the behalf of others, and then always being sort of pigeonholed as somebody who only thinks of themselves. Because I think it's super important for you to start to rewrite yourself, Aries, for you to start to see that a hero lies in you. And that's why Mars is retrograde in the sign of communication right now, because you get to start to think, am I going to start to communicate where I'm just like saying what I got to say and moving on? Or now am I going to start to really implement my leadership skills? Look at a deeper psychology of my own communication. And do I want to be effective? Do I want to be happy? Or do I just want to blurt stuff out? Because here is the retrograde right here. You learning about communication, offering yourself an opportunity to decide if what you want to say will serve the highest and greatest good of all. Will it serve your happiness, or won't it? There are times that I've wanted to say things to people that I think were true. But you know what? I'm old enough now to know that some people just don't want to hear it. No matter what you do, they'll never say they're sorry. They'll never apologize with any authenticity. They'll just do what they want to do. So this is where Mars gets to get smart, rather than just being pissed off, and really using Jupiter coming back into your house as a way to expand your belief system about yourself, and where your wounds about yourself may be there, but are they active? Are they actually pulsating in your face right now? Or are they a shadow memory that's chasing you? Because again, we have to remember this 7 of Wands is about defensiveness and not necessary. It's not, we don't know if it's true. So don't defend yourself. Give it a minute. You'll learn something if you give it a minute. You may find something out that you didn't know. And I want to offer it this way, because in finding out something you didn't know, you may actually feel not only good about yourself, but also about whatever might potentially be ending. because something is. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. It's coming up on my south node. My south node is 3 degrees Aries. So my south node, the south node is transiting my Mercury. I don't even know what is going on with my transits. I feel like there's like one challenging transit after another. When's my vacation transits? Okay. Here we go. Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I just have to laugh. There's Capricorn. There's the devil. You know, and this is where honestly, this is not a negative card. It feels like a negative card when you first look at it, but it's where we trap ourselves. The characters on the devil card can easily take those chains and undo their tethering to this larger than life creature. And there's something interesting about when I look at this today, and I've never noticed this before, but look at the pentacle on top of this character, right? Can you see it? It almost seems upside down with the point coming right to his third eye. And I feel as if this is very powerful today because there must be something for Taurus to get out of the earthly experience and to get more into their ethereal body, to calm down the mind and to pay attention to what is more intuitively coming towards you. Let's see. Because when I think of the devil, I really think of the devil represents the patterns that we feel entrap us. You know, the stories that seem to live on from our childhood. You know, love you gotta go. I'm always broke. I'm not lucky. You know, whatever your story is, because everybody's got their story. So Taurus, our first angel for you is Bridget. The second is Layla. The third is Isabella. And the final is Maya. Geez, Maya's come out how many times today? Like, it feels like every single reading. So we're all learning something. We're all being given an opportunity to really claim that co-creator in our lives. And I want to offer it this way because there is no expectation of perfection in claiming the co-creation as much as there is an opportunity to see if there is a disruptive energy that the co-creation is not us creating the disruption, but what the disruption has to offer us to elevate us to new heights of co-creation. I've been studying, I studied a little bit this last week, some new theories on signs and houses, and I got kind of drawn into the vertex axis. And there's a vertex and there's an anti-vertex, and it has a similar theme to the north and south node with less potency. And what it was talking about is that the vertex is a point that the planets cross over, which bring in fated events, which then offer us opportunities again to make choices. And so I'm seeing this commonality again, where the planets aren't kind of imposing their energy on us as much as they're offering us an opportunity to break up the illusion. So let's see where we're going with this for our Tauruses. So we have the devil as our tarot card. We have Bridget in the foundational position being joined by the cat. We have Layla being joined by Merlin. We have Isabella being joined by the goblin. And then we have Maya being joined by the dog. Okay, so we have Taurus. Taurus is a steady earth energy. It brings in we always talk about, the family history inside of Taurus. We talk about our self-worth inside of Taurus. And here I feel as if right now, as we embark upon this new moon in Sagittarius, we've just gone through this eclipse season with Taurus and Scorpio being on the axis. And we will see in 2023, Jupiter cross over these eclipse axes. We just had it 16 degrees Taurus. Then we're going to see Taurus and Scorpio be in the eclipse axis again. So there's a lot of fated events that are coming that are bringing these influences that are going to take us into these 6-month cycles of illumination, where we start to, as Tauruses, get out of our own way. I'm a Taurus moon, where our bullish behavior may be keeping us tethered to something, because Bridget is here asking us to look deeper into our healthy boundaries with other people, into our independence. And I mean it this way. Are we exerting healthy boundaries with certain people, or have we inadvertently been entrapped by our perception of them? Because as we spend time in nature, really talking about what Merlin wants, I want alchemy. One of the things I do various types of meditation. One is the meditation where I ask Spirit to enlighten me. I call upon Abraham and all the energies higher than myself to help illuminate me, to be a good communicator and to guide my words. And then I have these meditations where I'm literally setting an intention for something I want to experience. And where Merlin comes in is it represents alchemy, which is abundance, bringing something from a semi-precious metal into a precious state. It represents balance, and it represents justice. And here is Layla, representing the connection to the angelic realm. I believe that Taurus is a money sign. It wants its sense of security. And now I think what's going on here is that as you release those chains that tether you to something that feels uncomfortable, something that feels, look, this girl looks like she's going to get burned on her little butt, right? But here we're starting to exert healthy boundaries. And the looking deeper is, where have I bound myself to something that I believe would bring me something that would make my material life more at ease. And here is Spirit saying, just focus in on the ease, focus in on the balance of it, because your ego might be edging out that this is a time for prosperity for you. That is why the North Node is transiting through. That's why there's been the square of Uranus through Saturn, to break up some old structure that actually tethered you to the feelings of insecurity, or the feelings of having to work hard, or the feelings that if you express yourself, there'll be a price to pay. Because now Maya is about schooling and education. And now I want to talk about the dog being about loyalty. And this loyalty is to the self, to your own sense of independence. Uranus is about independence. Uranus is about liberation from oppression. The devil is about oppression, but the oppressions that we have put on ourselves by the conditioning that we've been given. If we don't do this, we won't be lovable. If we don't do that, we won't be valuable. You know, my mom used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I've noticed for me, when I work with fixed signs, oftentimes they want to evolve past what brings them burden, but yet they don't want to do anything different. And so there's this sort of conflict between a yearning for change and an unwillingness to do the work to change. And I think that this is a normal human thing. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's a bad thing. I just want to offer it here because I'm a Taurus moon. Emotionally, I identify a lot with myself. In Placidus, my first house is hugely Taurus. So a lot of myself identifies emotionally with how you respond to me. But one of the things I think that I get to get over is your response to me, because I can give information, but I can't change your situation. So somewhere, Taurus, you might be taking on too much responsibility, and it's time to move past this and give yourself some healthy boundaries from people so that you can be loyal to yourself and allow that to teach you how vibrationally Spirit will start to align others and other situations for you to feel connected to. Because I think that's a super important feeling. Venus rules Taurus. Venus wants to feel connected. She wants to feel appreciated. She wants to express herself. Okay. Let's go on to Gemini. Seven months Mars is traversing through Gemini. That is a long, 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 long time. All right, our tarot card for Gemini is a lot of choices and not knowing what to do. There's good and bad with all your choices. There's challenges, there's opportunities and obstacles, and this character just doesn't know what to do. And this is where I kind of feel as if what we're looking at here, Gemini, is getting out of your head and sort of allowing yourself to feel with your heart, because every choice has a good side or a bad side, a positive and a negative, what is deemed favorable or unfavorable. So let's see where Spirit is because with Gemini, with Mars traversing your sign, there may be this bravery of actually starting to implement a different line of thought, not necessarily taking action. Again, we have Mars retrograde until January, I think January 12th, and then moving forward again. So I really think this was a review of action. It's a review of my persona as I'm moving forward. There's certain things I notice about Arian people, like I walk really fast. And I'm a small person, so I don't think I'm that intimidating, but I walk really fast. And as I notice people's behaviors, a lot of Aries walk very quickly. So the larger of a human you are, the more intimidating that may be. Now, let me just say it this way. It doesn't mean you can't walk fast. It means, am I smiling while I'm walking? I feel like there's something about Gemini right now that's being offered an opportunity to review your actions and review your perceptions, and then stand in a little bit stronger alignment to maybe something you haven't experienced yet, and starting to see that because this back and forth feels like I'm almost afraid to want an elevated experience. You know, there's this old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. That is what I feel like this card represents a little bit today. Like, I'm afraid if I try to move towards me, I'm going to pay some price I don't want to pay. So that's why I feel like the Mars thing is about reviewing the courage you have, how you're showing up around your teammates, your workmates, and not to give into a false version of yourself, but to be aware of the ripple effect, I guess. All right, here we go. Ariel is our first angel for Gemini. The second is Xana, protection. The third is Teresa. And the final is Merlina. Small wildflowers, you make me laugh. You don't seem short personality-wise. You seem very tall. Okay, Ariel is being joined by the Risk card. Xana is being joined by the Hawk. Teresa is being joined by the Mystery card. And Merlina is being joined by the Goblin. Okay, so this is what I want to say. I don't think this is a time for Gemini to take action. I think this is a time to allow the universe to give you an experience that starts to open up a space inside of your mind to start to think that if you take a risk on betting on yourself, something may happen. But I don't think it's about trying to make it happen right now. We're going to have a Mercury retrograde towards the end of the year as well. It's a little ways off, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because I feel as if we look at Mercury representing our everyday activities, there's something potentially that could get better with your everyday life or present a change for you. And now if you think about it too much, you may go back and forth and talk yourself out of something that will actually be to your benefit. So I want to offer it this way because I feel as if this is about engaging spirit for that sign or that omen that will inspire you to trust a bigger picture of what you can't see. Because Ariel talks about new psychic and spiritual experiences changing the way you view yourself in the world. And there's the Risk card. And here is where I feel like you've been deliberating back and forth on maybe a different way of living or a different way of thriving or a different way of socializing, but something feels like it's going back and forth. Good news, bad news. Now, Xana is saying you're protected. And then we see the hawk, and this is about signs and omens. It's also about rising above the minutia, seeing something from, well, what if things get better? What if this does work out? Because I think that worry could be blocking you. And the worry could be that without realizing it, you default onto the side of the challenge. You default onto the side of the obligation. You default onto the side of no good deed goes unpunished. I don't quite win. And when I do win, it's just a very small win, because Merlina and the goblin feel like they are interrupting something. I feel like that's confusion, and your ego is going to the dark side saying, you know what? Forget it. And think about Mars could be very cranky. Mars going through Gemini could be like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Blah, blah. It could be very, ooh. Mars, this is what I want to say. Mars is not always cranky, but it kind of defaults a little bit to cranky. I'll say it. I'm ruled by Mars, but it's only because I think Mars just gets so impatient with I kind of want to put it this way. I feel like Mars gets impatient with the minutia, gets impatient with the pettiness of everyday life, gets impatient with things that, sometimes if you think about it, if you take the idea of Mars the warrior, Mars goes into that war with a bigger picture of what war means. Mars doesn't go into the war just wanting to kill people. Mars is going into war because there must be something going on that it needs to protect and defend. Of course, we've got war, the conquerors, the people that are going in and perpetrating warlike behavior, but there's always the flip side. So where I'm going with this, Gemini, is I think it's time to flip the side, to start to go, well, what if things are working out for me? What if I focus a little bit more on, wow, maybe something's going to happen, or I'm starting to create something that is going to open my life up, that is going to give me more of what I want in the way of my dreams, my hopes, my ease of life. That's the way I want to put it. Life's been hard lately, really hard. And if you think about Gemini, it's ruling our everyday activities. It could make you just literally nuts, because our everyday lives are being constantly put on high alert. Omicron this and monkey that, and the sky is falling, your money's going away, interest rates, inflation. I mean, it's everywhere. That's what we got to tuck in. We get to sort of look and say, you know what, Spirit, I'm going to bank on you. When I meditate and I'm having the most trouble connecting with Spirit, this is the angel I represent. I put in my mind's eye. Sort of this long beam of white light with this bit of iridescence around it, connecting me at the bottom with what's happening up in I don't know if it's actually up, but that's how we refer to it within the universe. And I ask Spirit to ground me into the truth of who I am. And I think that's what's going to have to happen, because otherwise you're just going to run around in circles, driving yourself crazy. It is what it is. Hey, Thibaut, welcome back to the room. All right, let's go on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I've had this very strange, when 19 years ago, when the South Node was going through Scorpio, I lost everything I own. I moved to North Carolina, and then I moved home, and the moving van was stolen. I broke my lease. I had no money. I had no possessions. I had no job. I mean, honestly, it was a show. And I have thought about that. Am I about to experience the same thing? And you know what? I'm not giving into that idea. I feel like it's really important to stay in the evolved version of yourself and to really look at the idea of the South Node being a very spiritual dynamic where it's asking you to step out of your human ego, the human ego that will tell you every single time that you will lose, every single time that you don't deserve, every single time that there's something better or somebody better out there than you. That's what I think is going on. And I feel like it's not easy to do, but if we can kind of look at it that way and then be brave enough to open our heart to an experience from spirit, then we can start to realign ourselves to trusting from a deeper, more intentional place. So, Cancer, there's a moving away from sorrow. There's a potential of travel here. The Six of Swords always represents a little bit of travel. But there is definitely an opportunity to lift sorrow in some respects. And in doing so, you might have to look not at your problems, but sort of between your problems. I know that sounds weird to say between your problems, but I almost felt like, everything has its duality, So how can we flip the coin so that the side we want to see is more prevalent? All right, Six of Swords is being joined by Rochelle as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart. There's Ariel again in the opportunity of the obstacle. Maya's shown up every single reading, I think. We're all being taught an energetic education right now of focus. Thoughts are things. And there's Oceana. Rochelle is being joined by the King. Ariel is being joined by the Joy card. Maya is being joined by the Love card. And Oceana is being joined by the Butterfly. Okay, so this is how I'm going to put this. For my Cancers, if you dumb down in love, if you dumb down for what you need, this may be why you've been feeling sorrow or could potentially have felt sorrow. And you're now getting to move into a new area, because when I look at Rochelle and the King, I could see it as a male energy, but I think it's more about taking authority over what's important to your heart. What's important to your security, not how you will love others, but how will you be loved? How do you feel loved? What makes you feel loved? I think that's something important to identify for my Cancers. If we think about Pluto making an opposition to you since 2008, many of you, the majority of you are done with that opposition. But those of you that are at the later degrees of Cancer, those of you that are born on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of July, all the way up to the 22nd, you could very much be experiencing this sort of back and forth of Pluto continually asking you what's important to you. And then you keep saying to Pluto, well, other people are important to me. And Pluto's like, yeah. No, let's run that by again. Because your personal joy, your personal happiness, your personal self-nurturing is the best way in the world for you to experience connectedness with other people. Because Ariel and the Joy card are in your opportunity or your obstacle. And I believe that this is absolutely what Spirit has been knocking on your door, saying, look what I have to offer you. Look what I have to offer you. Because I'm teaching you about love, because love is so rich when it starts with the love of self. And I want to offer it this way, because this is not about being a selfish person or being a narcissist or going, I'm so great. It's about when we love ourselves, we know how to take care of ourselves, then we don't actually depend on other people to make us happy. And that's a little bit of what I think is the pitfall of Cancer, is that it gives and it gives to other people sort of with this quiet and just kind of waiting. Are you going to give back to me? Are you going to make me feel what I've given to you? And I don't know that if you sit there waiting for someone else, that will happen, because this is about your emotional body. Oceana would absolutely be the angel for Cancer. And this is the blossoming. And I think this blossoming comes from the idea of to take authority of your own heart. Now, when you say to yourself, but my heart is connected to others, you don't have to give up loving other people. But I think this is an opportunity to be like, If I love something and I want to do it, I'm going to go venture out and do it. I'm going to give it a try rather than waiting for someone to go with you to do it, or waiting for someone else to approve of whatever you want to do. There is I don't want to connect this to another human being in the way of an intimate relationship, and sorrow is felt there. I feel like Cancer may feel sorrowful because they have not felt seen. They have not felt like the authenticity of their love has been honored. And I feel like as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, then it gives people an easier road to honor your heart. There's a weird thing about humans in love, because when you feel, oh, did someone die? Oh no. I want to offer this because when you feel this sense of freedom of love, when you love things for yourself and you have things to do, it creates an excitement of people wanting to do that as well, being in that same energy. But when we love and we look to them, do you agree with me? Do you want to be with me? Will you go with me here? Then it has a weird, different vibe. It's just a weird, different vibe. And I think that's what Cancer is really kind of walking through, is this opportunity to love something just for themselves and to claim it in a big way. And in doing so, it becomes an invitation for others to love you in a more transparent and authentic and less obligatory way. All right. Let's go on to our Leos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I'm 5'5" as well. That's my height. Although I think I might be shrinking as I get older. Okay, here we go. Leo, your tarot card is the Cup of Love. This is very nice because it's very romantic. It's very fun. Let's see where this is going. I don't know how to use my smartphone. I really don't. I don't know how to use my Google Home either. I barely know how to use my computer. Thank you very much, CJD, for inspiring me about the shorts. I don't know if you guys saw that. Tried to do a little something there. I did a short on your astrological sign and what kind of Christmas stocking you might like. And then trying to expand. I've gotten off all other social media than YouTube, except for my voyeurism on TikTok. So just letting y'all know. Leo, here we go. Our first angel is Isabella. The second is Maya. Okay, as Maya showed up in every reading, there's Opal and Layla. And Layla showed up too. Yeah, you got me going there, girl. I'm thinking, trying to put on my thinking cap, doing some fun stuff, making it sort of more cheeky, less serious. Okay. Isabella is being joined by the Serpent. Maya's being joined by the Fear card. Opal's being joined by the Novice. And Layla's being joined by the High Priestess. You know, oftentimes when we see the Page of Cups, we feel this infusion of love, this innocence about love, this as if the cup of love is being offered. And when I look at it right now today, I feel like this is about Leo really offering the cup of love to themselves. It's about digging deeper into how you define what love is. Because I feel as if when I look at this, there might be, you know, one of the things about Leo is the courage to reveal your heart, the courage to express yourself in your own individuality, and will there be an audience to applaud that? And sometimes we're afraid. And we have Saturn making an opposition to the house of Leo right now, which could exasperate some of that. But at the same time, I think it's about pushing through, because Isabella says, yes, the timing is right. And then we have the Snake, which is about knowledge and healing, but it's also about shedding a skin. And when I look at this, I feel as if Leo were to extend their cup of love, rather than the cup of love being extended to Leo, now it's about, let me be authentic with my heart. Let me trust, because we see the fish coming out of this little thing. So that kind of gives us a Piscean energy. But I feel like this is an inspiration. We know that Pisces rules poetry and dance and fantasy in some way. And I feel as if the timing is right for Leo to shed this skin of unworthiness and to allow fear to be inspiring. Because when you walk through something you're afraid of and you conquer it, then you become extremely excited about the next fear bubble. And not in a way that makes you want to be scared all the time, but rather that you start to understand that anything that is important to you will instill a bit of fear inside of you. And that is what is really kind of the fork in the road. Will I give in to the fear and to what that could tell me, or will I rise above that fear? Because Leo, you're being taught something about your fear. And I think this is time for you to know that God and the angels are watching over you, Opal, and it's allowing you to practice your skills, to step out into the world. Because Layla is here about intention, and there's the High Priestess, which is about a soul. It's about a soul knowing. It's an intuitive energy. It is like the High Priestess in the tarot deck. There's all this moon energy around it, this feminine energy. And I talked about, there's a new moon in Sagittarius. It is very favorable. It's actually going to be on my natal Jupiter, so I'm hoping that's good. My natal Jupiter is at 2 degrees. The new moon is going to be at 1 degree. But for my Leos right now, I feel as if this is really about digging deeper, knowing that you are more capable of creating for yourself what you want to experience versus hoping that somebody else will give it to you. And now, as you extend this cup of love out to what you find fun to express about yourself, that's kind of the way I want to put it. When I'm looking at this page right now, I feel like he is offering, I'm putting my dance out for the world to see. I'm putting my poetry out. I'm putting out my self-expression somehow, something I love, and I'm willing to put it out as part of who I am. It's representing a truth about me. And in doing that, I start to feel more anchored into my intentions. I start to feel more connected to my soul's truth versus my human truth. That's the way I want to put it. Okay. Have we drifted into some sort of inappropriate conversation about bra size? I hope not. For that would not be the type of conversation we want to have here, because nobody cares about mammary glands. Mammary. Oh my God, I can't even speak now. All right. On to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The 10 of Pentacles. We love this card. This card represents everything traditional. Mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, the kids, the dog, the traditional money, security, feeling like I'm flush, feeling like things are coming, things are working out monetarily in the material world, a sense of security. Let's look and see where this is coming for Virgo. Virgo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes. But there's never really a completion, because every ending has a new beginning attached to it. So I think this is about allowing this sort of settling in of resources for Virgo. Our first angel is Ray. The second is Caressa. The third is Patience. And the final is Maya again. Oh my goodness gracious. Maya's got a lot to say today. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I told you the South Node is on my Mercury, which has had some really stunning stunning manifestations as a result of that. And I find myself going back to when I first started working on my own. And I almost feel like while I was a little bit scared back then, I almost feel like I'm more scared now because I know what I can create. I know what I've experienced, and I'm having a little bit of a South Node backseat feeling, right? So I keep trying to say to Spirit, let me go back to this place when I just trusted you to bring forth the resources I need versus me being able to see potential resources and them not being there. So I feel like there's something going on with Virgo right now where the 10 of Pentacles is offering an opportunity for abundance, for a solid experience with your resources, your material security. But Ray is saying you got to stay connected to Spirit. And then we have the movement card, which is aligning with your heart versus what you can see with your eyes, which is what's been screwing me up lately. Okay. So for my Virgos, and I want to offer this too, because take care of yourself. You know, I want to say it this way. If you are experiencing physical challenges or in some way, go to earth products, like use things from the earth, juice, do wheatgrass, eat colorful foods. There's something about this that makes me feel as if don't drink concentrated orange juice. Juice your orange juice. Something about this card is making me feel like I want to go back. Bounty is within the earth element and going back to traditional, historic, ancient remedies. Because for years and years and years and hundreds of years, man survived off of the things that it picked on the ground, picked out and foraged for. They weren't pharmaceuticals in a lab. Because here, Virgo, is movement, and your connection to Spirit comes through slowing your mind down, meditating, putting out an intention, trusting that as you connect with Spirit, they're going to inspire you. Because Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle and new knowledge and healing is being offered to you. But part of it is observing your own behavior, and are my thoughts aligned to my own physical well-being? I want to offer it this way. I don't know where this happened because it never happened before. I used to eat cheese and salami every single night. I would make my own little poo-poo platters, and I can't even tell you how much cheese I ate. Now, if I eat a piece of cheese, my whole body blows up. Literally, like I can feel it like swell into Veruca, whatever lake from Willy Wonka, and I can't do it anymore. So there's something about Virgo paying attention to a rhythm of something, because I can have a certain amount of sweets and it's not a problem. I can have gluten and it's not a problem. Cheese, dairy, cream cheese, a problem. Butter, not so bad for me. Pay attention, because you're being schooled about something. And I think that the dog is really representing self-love here. And I feel as if this doesn't feel like it has to do with your money as much as it has to do with your ability to make money through good health, good mental health, and going back to basics in some ways. When I was a little girl, if you weren't feeling well, my grandmother would give me saltine crackers and a 7-Up if I had or a ginger ale. And I don't know if that's applicable, but maybe there's something in your own family history and the way that you address your health that would be more aligned to you feeling light and airy. And I want to offer this too, because I do think part of this has to do with stress, mental stress, and the stress of, will I have enough resources to survive my everyday life? And I want to offer meditation as an opportunity, not necessarily to try to receive information or calm your mind down, but to start to describe to Spirit how you feel secure in the physical world. Everybody has a different feeling. Some people need a lot of money in the bank. Some people don't need that much money. Some people, I don't know, pick your scenario. They vary from person to person, because now is a time, I think, to be super loyal to yourself. And I want to offer it this way, because Virgo, if within your observation of what's going on. You may feel as if there are certain people, places, or dynamics in your life that get to shift. And as they shift, you get to trust that the universe will bring in resources that will not just fill the gap, but allow there to be prosperity attached to it. And I think that's where you're being called upon to be more loyal to yourself than you are to anyone that you feel enslaved to. An employer, your health, a dynamic outside of making yourself a priority. That's the way I want to put it. So let me say this. If for some reason you're not feeling well and you don't call in sick because you're like, no, they need me there, they need me there. You know what? Take the day off, sleep, honor it. Don't feel guilty. Start to honor thyself, and thyself will honor you, and then you'll feel more vital and alive, and I think more opportunities are going to start to show up. Okay. Don't go outside and finish the garden small. Stay home inside. Drink something warm to warm your bones, and just see what may happen if you put the universe on task. Don't do it. If you're not feeling well, don't push yourself, because you may feel better later. All right, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What is your tarot card today? It is the Knight of Wands. Inspiration galloping towards you. Let's see. I always think of the knights as the teenagers of the deck. Think of your garden as an English garden, because they're wild and free and they work by themselves. All right, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Daniel. The third is Bethany. And the final is Merlina. Bridget is being joined by the cat. Daniel is being joined by the dragon. Bethany is being joined by the wind fairy. And Merlina is being joined by the water fairy. You know, when I look at this, I feel as if the knight representing an inspiration, you know, sort of this feeling of, it's interesting when I look at the knight, because the horse in it makes me feel like it wants to gallop forward. And then the knight, its foot is so far down to the ground, it almost feels like it's trying to stop itself from moving forward. And I've never quite seen it that way. The leg is so straight, it feels a little bit immobile. And then yet at the same time, the horse is all animated. So I want to offer it this way, because I think that Bridget is saying to look deeper. And then I think the cat is about 9 lives. I think that maybe for my Libras, there's an opportunity for you to see beyond a situation. And, you know, maybe you've been trying to slow something down. Maybe you've been getting some sort of inspiration that's been pushing you some way, but you don't know what to do or how to do it or how to implement it. And you may want to assert yourself in an independent way, but there's a time of gestation for some reason. And I want to offer it this way, because Daniel represents marriage, right? But Daniel represents our history and partnership. And then there's the dragon, which is about power and strength. And the power and strength comes from being kind of calm, cool, and collected. And when I look at this, it feels like it's some sort of, this does not feel like it's situational outside of myself, Libra. It feels like it's somewhere in your emotional and spiritual body. It's this feeling of I don't know. There's a weird feeling of having to be patient as something is about to transpire. This night is just messing with me right now. I'm seeing that salamander, and it makes me feel like there's some change in the air. And yet I can't make that change happen. I have to sort of allow myself this slow down, to be independent in my thought, to look deeper into a situation. And maybe looking deeper is looking to the point where I don't know if I have an answer, but I know that while I'm walking through something of my history, being calm, relax, so that I don't block an inspiration that may come through my worry, my indecision, my fear, because Bethany is about self-care. And then there's the wind fairy. So there's something about keeping my thoughts aligned to taking care of myself, because something is in process. And I want to kind of offer it this way, because when I go to the Libra energy, I often think that we Libras measure our value by our relationships, by our viability in our relationships. And maybe this is not a fair way to assess things, because Merlina is about confusion and the water fairy is about emotions. And here we see this sort of conflict between healthy boundaries about independence and then emotionally feeling a bit confused by, because sometimes Libra may think if I'm independent, then I'm not a real couple. And I often say that two me's create a we. And I think that right now, this is not about another human being. This is about the two sides of yourself, the ego part of you, the human part of you, and then the oversoul, the inner being that knows something that your personality may differ with, or it may complain about, or it may get up your grill about. And I think that this is an opportunity for you to say, you know what? I get to just sort of chillax right now. I'm gonna offer myself as a Libra the balance of knowing that things go like this. It's sort of a seesaw. It's not really flat. It doesn't really sit flat. Even when you think about it, it takes two people to sit on a seesaw and make it balanced. So I kind of feel like this is you, your oversoul, and to connect with that, maybe even allowing yourself a little bit of a slowdown on your role with other people, meaning if you're tending to other people, your children, your husband, your parents, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a manager of some kind, taking care of yourself, at asserting a little bit of emotional distance from a situation or people that are aggravating an obligatory feeling of having to go back to what is expected of you by them and what you want for yourself. And if you slow your roll a little bit, then the universe will open an inspiration to help you move into that space more effectively and more easily. I want to offer this as sort of a rounding out. Bye, Katerina. See you next week. This week with the new Sagittarius moon, I think this is a beautiful opportunity to open up to new beliefs, to move into new ideologies and philosophical dynamics that you haven't been before, and opening yourself up in general to the universe and saying, you know what? Whatever I experienced during Scorpio energy, as I move into the Sagittarius energy, I'm willing to be more broad-minded. I'm willing to take some of the manure in my life and change it into a tool that makes my garden grow. And I might even think about just doing things a little bit different. And if I don't know how to do them different, maybe this is about just not doing what I always do. So if I always jump up when I'm not feeling well and I go out into the cold and I tend to the garden because the garden has to look good for the strangers driving by on the street, then don't do the garden today. Wait for it to warm up and wait for yourself to feel better. And you may find out that either someone's done it for you, or maybe someone brings you flowers or sends you flowers and you have more to add to the garden later. All right, guys, a little choppy today. Again, I'm going to say, I've got my south node on my Mercury. I don't think I'm losing my mind, but I do think I'm having my little challenges with my communication. So hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy the holiday, this Thanksgiving holiday. As we enter into the Christmas season, make yourself a priority. You're important. You matter. You matter more than anybody else. And when you put yourself first, you'll be surprised how much easier it is to overlook other people's annoyances. So that's what I got to say. Feel the love, guys. Peace out. And maybe one of these days I'll be able to afford a new manicure. All right, guys. Take care. Have a great week. I'll see you next Sunday.